What's going on, Infected, and welcome to the Quarantine. Today we're going to be taking a look at a game that was given to me to review by the name of Hanamikoji. I think I pronounced that correctly. Now, Hanamikoji is a hand management game where you're trying to use just a few cards and you're trying to win the favor of these geisha that are on the board. And whoever has the most geisha or the most valuable geisha in certain circumstances is declared the winner. Now, against popular belief, geisha were not whores. Geisha were actually performers and artists in feudal Japan. They would be, anywhere from singers to actresses to performers to all kinds of things. For whatever reason, they just kind of got the stigma that they were the whores and they worked in brothels. But whatever. You're trying to win the favor of these geisha. So let's check the game out. Alright, this is basically Hanamikoji set up ready to be played. Now, the game is very, very, very simple. So let me explain to you what you're seeing here. So you're going to shuffle up all these cards. You're going to shuffle 6 out to each player. You're going to take one card without looking at it, and you're going to remove it from the game and put it back in the box. So what that does, that adds a little level of mystery and uncertainty. So there's not always the same number of cards out, which will play into kind of the deduction of the game. Now, your ultimate goal is you see these geishas all have numbers assigned to them. So these are all how many cards correspond to each geisha. So when we look at my 6 cards, I have 1 flute, 1 fan, I have 1 flower stick, don't really know what that is, and 3 teapots. So that is my starting hand. Your opponent, of course, is going to have the same thing. So to play the game, at the beginning of every turn, you're going to draw a single card. And then now you're going to do one of the 4 action tiles you have here. So these are the only actions you're going to take throughout the entire game, and you only get to take each one once. So there's only 4 rounds in the game. Now I'll briefly explain what these actions are. So the number 1 token has a little check mark, so you're going to take one of your cards and you're going to put it under this check mark, face down. And you're going to flip the token face down as well, just to show that you've used it. Now that means it's going to be used at the end of the game. So option 2, of course I did that, my opponent would draw a card and do theirs, it comes back to me. Option 2, you can take 2 of these cards, so of course I'm going to draw a card, and then so as the game goes on, if you see it, you're getting a little bit more knowledge every single round. So maybe I already see I have majority on this. So maybe I'm going to take these 2, and you put them face down into this and flip the tile. Now that means these are effectively removed from the game. They're not going to be used. Then, of course, my opponent would take their turn, comes back to me, draw a card, and now I can do, and keep in mind you can do these in any order, I'm just going numerical order just to explain it. Now this one, you're going to choose 3 cards and reveal them, and your opponent is going to get to take one of them, and then you get the other 2. So maybe I do these 3. So you're going to reveal them to your opponent, they're going to take one, and they're going to put it next to the geisha that it corresponds to. So in this case, they would get that. You would take yours, so in this case, I'd put this here, and I would put that there. Your opponent does theirs, of course this flips down to show you've used it, comes back to you, you draw a card, and the number 4, which this being the last one I get to do, you basically make 2 piles, your opponent takes one, you take the other. So maybe I split these up like this. So I know which one, and they would choose maybe this one here so they can get the majority in that. This goes here, then you get to keep that. Now, after you've done that, these are just removed from the game, you don't worry about them. This flips over and it gets attached to the appropriate side. So after that happens, you're going to calculate who has the majority. So let's just say, shuffle these up, let's say these are the ones that I got this one here, and let's say that's what I had. So the opponent got everything else. So this is how this game ended right here. So what you're going to do is, starting from really any direction, you're going to see who got majority control. So we have 1 and 1, so nobody got that, stays in the middle. I get this one, I get this one, opponent gets this one, I get this one, this stays here, and I get that. So the way you win this game is if anybody gets 4 geisha on their side, they win. Or if you get 12 points worth of geisha, as you see here. So I have a 5, a 4, and a 3. You have 12. With that said, if your opponent were to have the 4, they would actually be declared the winner instead. However, if in the event your opponent gets 4 and you have the 12 points, then whoever gets the 12 points is actually going to be declared the winner. So getting these is very critical to winning. So you don't want to let your opponent get these last 3 geisha. But that's really how the game works. If in the event, say, this happened, so nobody got majority, nobody has the 11 points, what you're going to do is you're going to pick all of the cards up, you're going to leave the tokens on the side that they were on, and then you're going to play another round. With the exception of the only thing that is different is now, for example, if this one got a tie, this would stay on his side. The token doesn't move. But if I get control of it, the geisha token comes to me. And you're going to continue to do that for 3 rounds. At the end of the 3rd round, if nobody has been declared the winner, whoever at that point has the most geisha points wins. Alright, Hanamikoji. Pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that, but regardless. Honestly, I'm not really going to beat around the bush here. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. It's very quickly becoming one of my favorite quick 2-player games. The entire game, even if you play all 3 rounds, once everybody knows what they're doing, even when you don't know what you're doing, the entire 3 rounds takes maybe 30 minutes. It's a very quick game with a surprising amount of strategy involved, because as the game goes on, you're given more and more information. So which one of those actions do you use? Do you go ahead and dedicate this card is going on to a geisha? But maybe you get more of those cards, so you didn't need to do that. Or maybe you use the, I give you 1, I get 3, and you no longer get any more of the cards and your opponent winds up winning the majority. So you wind up having these really tough decisions of when do I use what action, because the game constantly is changing, constantly is evolving. And then once you have completed a round and nobody has been declared the winner, then now which geisha do you concentrate on? Do you try to keep your geisha, maybe take 1 from the opponent, or do you go hard into theirs, keeping in mind, again, you only get half of the information in the beginning of the game, and you slowly get the rest of it. Actually, you get like a quarter of the information in the beginning. And so you wind up having, for such a small, simple little game, you have a lot of strategy and a lot of thought that goes into every single move, because you only get 4. You can do them, remember, in any order. So do you start off by making 2 stacks, and that kind of dictates which one you're going to go? Or do you go, okay, if you have 3 of the teapot one, not the teapot one, the geisha with the umbrella, you have 3 of her, do you go ahead and throw 2 away, knowing that you're guaranteed to have that one? And then later, do you dedicate this one is going to be mine and put it under the check mark? Or do you put it into a 3 and your opponent takes 1 and make sure you give your opponent one that you know they're going after? So there's so much strategy behind the game. And then to top it off, the artwork is gorgeous. I absolutely adore the artwork in the game. And spoilers, if you noticed, the cards are sleeved. So I thoroughly enjoy the game. And now normally I like to talk about the negatives with the game, and to be completely honest, I can't really think of any with Hanamikoji. I can't really think of any negatives with it, because it's such a simple, light little game. Everybody that we've played with loves the game. And really the only negative that I can say about the game is I recommend sleeving it, because if any of the cards get any damage at all, you're going to slowly over time be able to see, okay, because there's not that many cards, so it's not going to be hard to go, okay, well, that one's got the bent corner, that one's this. And basically, it's going to take away a lot from the game, because you're going to be able to start noticing damages of the cards. So that's really the only thing I can say negative about the game, which, I mean, is a pretty big deal. If it was a larger card count, wouldn't be as big of a deal, but that would make the game way too crazy. So yeah, I definitely recommend this game. If you're looking for a quick, light little 2-player game that has a surprising amount of depth and strategy to it, definitely check out Hanamikoji. It is a fantastic game, quickly becoming one of my favorites. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time in the quarantine.